You know when you start a new game and it begins with a conversation with a character who tells you the objective of the game. They warn you about potential side quests and get you started and send you on your way. It's funny because I've always ignored side quests in games, but in real life I seem to constantly get distracted from my main objective. And I know there's a lot of reasons. In games, you have reminders everywhere, people and things cheering you on to this goal. But in real life, distractions happen every day, and people don't always believe in you. We have screens everywhere we look to keep us from even thinking about our goals, not to mention the ability to see everyone else chasing their dreams in different ways, and that can distract too, and get you upset by comparing yourself to others or trying to find success the same way someone else did. And there's also normal life things like bills, working, taxes, and a whole slew of things outside of your control. I'll be honest, I got out of my habit of mindfulness and have been spending way too much time scrolling. So I've been working on being more deliberate with my time, energy, and art practice. This painting has become pivotal to refocusing on my goals. Let me say, it has not been easy. This painting has been a nightmare to figure out, but it taught me so much throughout this battle. Shocker, issues began with not doing enough planning. I tried to plan my illustrations to make the painting process as simple as possible, but I never seem to get it right. I think it comes from a bit of laziness, but also a lack of skill. I struggle a lot with art fundamentals like composition, perspective, and color harmony. I've also gotten really rusty mixing my paints and have a hard time getting accurate values. I don't know if it's laziness and not wanting to draw tons of thumbnails, or if it's perfectionism and wanting to get everything right the first time. Regardless, I've started doing more studies and hopefully planning future paintings will get easier and easier. The painting you see me working on took probably 20 hours and was my 5th attempt. I changed the composition and style twice. The first one, while cute, felt too cartoony. The second and third ones went wrong while painting. On the second one, I over-rendered the tree and it became very muddy. On the third one, my approach to shading the characters was horrible and made them look sick. I changed from vertical composition to a simpler landscape. My 4th attempt was half the size, and while it was going well, I wanted to also challenge myself with a large painting. From the very beginning, I knew I wanted to use watercolor and gouache, even though I was really rusty. Those first 4 attempts really helped prepare me for the last. In hindsight, my reasoning for quitting some attempts were dumb because they were still looking good enough to continue. But I never made it to using gouache in any of those previous attempts. And that made certain gouache details I settled with at the end undesirable. But let's talk about the process. As a whole, I enjoyed working on it. I started and finished fairly happy, but the middle was stressful and difficult. In all my previous attempts, I had a separate sketch that I transferred to the watercolor paper. This time, I just jumped in sketching directly on the watercolor sheet. I was feeling loads of pressure to get this piece done since it was my next planned video. Between all the previous attempts, I didn't find time to put together another video. Once my sketch was finished, I used my Winsor & Newton's masking fluid to mask off the characters and butterflies. I went in with a large wash of blue for the sky and a greeny yellow for the rest. I began with the grass, layering lots of green variations. Then I painted the tree trunk very carefully to not repeat a past mistake of over-rendering. This actually ends up being my second favorite part of the finished piece, after the butterflies of course. Then I painted the leaves. I honestly had no idea how to deal with this part, so I did a couple washes and called it good. I intended to fix them with gouache, but I didn't know where to begin with fixing it. I don't hate them, but I don't love it either. A lot of areas had been knocked out of the way, so I removed the masking fluid and did some light washes on the characters and props. In my previous attempts, my biggest deterrent for continuing was when I messed up rendering the characters in watercolor. So I skipped that and did it in gouache instead. It was a struggle, but I loved how the female character turned out. But our male character didn't turn out very good. I'm also just now realizing I forgot to add the beard. I'll be honest, by this point I was contemplating restarting again. But I pushed through and started on the butterflies. I loved these butterflies so much that I not only continued this painting, but I also made a little cute watercolor painting afterward. I might be obsessed. And while we're on the topic of this tiny watercolor painting, do you see the rendering? I am so proud of myself. I didn't even need to fix anything in gouache. I think it could make a really cute sticker. Let me know what you think in the comments. After I painted the beautiful butterflies, I painted the cat. Admittedly, I think the coloring is a little too realistic and looks a little weird. I kinda wanted him to match the butterflies, but I was afraid to ruin it by trying to make him more saturated. Now he's a bit more subtle and blends a little with the tree. I put a lot of thought into the outfit of our female character, and it turned out super cute. I left the piece feeling upset with myself for not doing more with our male character's fit. It feels generic and out of place, and is kinda my least favorite part. I had a ridiculous amount of fun painting the shoes and apple cider bottle. That tiny cider bottle is my third favorite part, and I am so proud of the little section that makes it look see-through overlapping with the male character's leg. The cinnamon rolls turned out okay. I like them, but they're nothing special. Same with the little grape bowl. If I redid it now, I'd change it to green grapes and add an apple and banana to make it a proper fruit bowl, which was the original idea for it. I went with a beige blanket. I was going to make it yellow, but I thought a bright yellow chunk that big would distract from the butterflies. At the end, I go back into the grass with gouache because I did want it to feel like the field was encompassing all the characters. I didn't end off super happy with the grass, but I enjoyed how it finished things off. It's been a day since I finished, and while I didn't love it when I finished it, I've felt quite proud and inspired since finishing. This painting feels like a big boost to refocusing on my goals. Over the last couple months, I've felt myself drifting and searching away from my goals. Like I said in the beginning, we live in a very distracting world, and I haven't been reminding myself enough lately about where I want my career to go. This painting isn't perfect, but I feel so good about it. In case you're new or don't know, I'm working towards becoming a children's book illustrator, and in the past, I've really avoided these story-driven full illustrations, and I think that's because they're hard. You have to think about all the art fundamentals, such as composition, perspective, anatomy, color, and value. You have to think about how each of these help tell the story, in addition to items that tell you about the characters. You could go on forever experimenting with all that, which doesn't start until you find an idea and decide what kind of story you want to tell with it. To start making full illustrations like this one, I've been hoarding ideas based on my life. I didn't know how many I was planning to make, but I don't think I'm going to limit it either. I do have about a dozen ideas already. I'll be honest, I've been struggling a lot with trying to bring my ideas to life. There's a pretty big gap between where my skills are and where I want them to be. So I'll be making a lot of study with me or practice with me type of videos in between painting videos. I want to work harder on being consistent and deliberate with my art and videos. This feels like a big push in the right direction. I've spent a long time waiting to be better at art in the way I want to be in the future, but of course that's not how it works. I'm not going to get really good at full illustrations by avoiding them. This all feels like a transformative time, hence the butterflies. So instead of waiting to be good, I'm just gonna take it one illustration at a time, and hopefully I'll get there soon. Just need to remind myself I can redo these paintings in the future, do more specific studies with each illustration, and just keep making no matter what. It will be difficult and anything but smooth sailing, but it will be worth it. I've planned for a lot of changes that I'm pretty excited for. I've done the waiting for the right time thing for too long. I was thinking about starting to sell prints and stickers, but I would probably do pre-orders, so let me know what you think about that. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe because I'll be making tons of art videos. I have my next illustration in the works, so you don't want to miss that. I'll see you next time. Bye.